Here we go again. Another game, another shot of Ruben Amorim, head down as his team endure another disappointment. Brother, you better get comfortable with this look because you're never cutting your hair ever again.
Was subbing in centre-backs for centre-backs when chasing a game. Mount was playing as a wing-back at the end. This man has lost over 50% of his games as a Manchester United manager. Good God. This is awful.
It's always the same. When we win, it's not the system. When we lose, it's the system. I understand that.
Brother, you have not won back-to-back games in your entire Manchester United career, and the only wins you've gotten this season have either been against teams playing with 10 men or gifting you penalties in the final minutes of the game. You can't be saying stuff like this.
This man is a shell of the man that entered the club not even a year ago. Suave, dapper, well-spoken, confident. Now, squatting, frowning, deathly worried, and an anxious husk of the manager he's currently cosplaying. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd bet that the end is probably near.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back. This video is being recorded right after the Brentford loss, and the reason for that is because I'm about to go watch the Springboks, and I don't want to go there with a negative attitude and a terrible mindset because I know they're about to do the business, and this is my therapy, so it has to happen immediately.
Just a quick one, if you do need reliable football tickets, you can go ahead and check out StubHub International. We've partnered with them on the channel. Any purchases are reliable and guaranteed, and you can use the link in the description to get yourself going.
We started off Saturday with the news that Graham Potter was sacked from West Ham, which is a piece of news that honestly left me in between some minds because it's probably a bit of foreshadowing for what we're going to see at Old Trafford in the next couple of weeks if performances don't improve, which I don't think that they will. Ruben Amorim is things are not working right now, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant in this video, but I'm going to try and keep it a little bit coherent, but nothing is working. Nothing's getting better. Before we go too much into this, I want to get this out the way first and foremost. Brentford were playing some fantastic football. Their pressure was on point. Their long balls were taken down and controlled really well. They were offloaded to wingers, and their interplay in between the lines, and particularly on the wings between Schade and I think it was Yarmolyuk, were incredible. They did great. Igor Thiago was just brute force and precision and was just way too much for United's defense to handle, particularly in that first 20 minutes, which ended up being a very decisive 20 minutes, didn't it? Jordan Henderson was great. We know he had a little extra motivation going in. Kelleher had a really good day too, a penalty save, which we'll also talk about. For obvious reasons, he also had probably a bit of extra motivation to go all the way there. And Brentford's set pieces and their ability to get the ball into the box and expose United's defense, high up in the air was also something that was a constant threat. And if we're being real, probably should have resulted in a couple more goals. Credit to Altay Bayindir for his force in stopping those potential goals, but not that much credit goes to him in the long run, which we'll be discussing further. So let's get on to some general notes for the game and see where we go from here. Right off the bat, I think I just said it right now, Brentford's ability to get the ball into the box. There was a long throw that happened from Coyote in the second minute that literally went all the way through to Altay Bayindir. And from that moment on, I knew that this was going to be a very long day. You might be able to take the manager out of Brentford, the old manager, take their star players out of there, but something still remains. They have United's number. They know how to get the better of them, and this showed pretty much immediately.
Although having said that, it is quite ironic that none of those high balls that went into the box did result in goals. So I guess that's somewhat of a victory? I don't know.
So Matheus Cunha comes back from injury. Very, very happy about that. And here I am thinking he's about to drive forward and get United into fantastic position, maybe even score a goal, only for him to get fouled in about the 7th or 8th minute, and for that foul to not be called, and then for Brentford to score a goal immediately off the back of it. So yes, I've already told you my opinion on that. This was pretty clearly a foul. The defending player runs straight into Matheus Cunha, and nothing is said about it pretty much ever again for the rest of the game. The VAR team doesn't do a thing about it. They don't even show replays about it on TV. It's just on. It happens one time, and then it's over. Now, straight after that, unfortunately, we can't blame the elements and any sort of agenda because this was just straight up United falling asleep. Harry Maguire playing offsides. I don't know why he's decided to play offsides over here.
And this is what happens when you have a 3 at the back system with 3 center backs, all pretty much marking one striker, all being told to play high lines but not really knowing how to do so, leaving the slowest of these center backs behind to recover against speedy attackers. And we see this happen again for the second goal, but we'll get to that.
Igor Thiago comes up with an unbelievable finish. Of course, he's going to come up with one of the greatest finishes of his entire career in the 7th minute against United. It's insane. No goalkeeper is saving that, unfortunately. And so immediately I've sat down on a Saturday afternoon. I'm here to have a good day, just watching some sports, chilling out, and I'm in a bad mood. Immediately, I'm in a bad mood. The first goal was outrageous for a multitude of reasons, but the second goal, it was outrageous for all the usual ones associated with Man United.
A long ball, a flick, across that Onana Bayindir palms right into the path of an attacking player, and a goal.
All it takes is 2 players to destroy this Man United defense. Look at how many United players are in this area and they couldn't do anything about it. How is this allowed to keep happening? I don't understand it. It's like I'm saying, it doesn't really matter what you do. You can change the manager, you can change the attack, you can change certain players and how the team operates. But this Brentford side, they know United, they know how to beat them, which is a crazy sentence. If you think about where Brentford has come from and the fact that I think this is their 9th Premier League season or the 9th First Division season in the history of the club, 9th or 10th, in the history of the club. We're talking 120 years plus. It's really, really good for them. You know, hats off to Brentford. I wish I could be happy for them. I really do. I can't. And that's something I have to deal with. What I will say, maybe to try and be a little bit more positive, is that I think this was probably Sesko's, or the first half at least, was Sesko's best 45 minutes in a United shirt. I mean, United were trailing for the majority. United were trailing for pretty much the entire half, but he made some very good movements. He showed some great footwork. There was a point where he did a nice little swivel over on the left-hand side, passed it over to Cunha. Cunha should have passed it to Bruno Fernandes for potentially a much easier shot on goal. Instead, he didn't. But this was all created by Benjamin Šeško. He knocked the ball down quite a few times. He got his first goal in a United shirt. It was a bit scrappy, but it was still a goal, and it gave the team a bit of hope to think that they were going to come back, and a lifeline. So I thought he did really well. Second half, he didn't have as much of an effect, and you would wonder why. Because for the second half, the majority of the time, the team was just crossing balls, hitting and hoping, and nothing was coming out. You can't just go into it. Cunha is obviously the best player driving forward when he's on the ball, but I don't think United endeavored to get him in those positions as much, and credit to Brentford, they prevented him from actually changing and affecting the game when he was in those positions. But it also comes down to his decision making. Like I said with that previous chance to Bruno Fernandes, I think Matheus Cunha strikes me as the sort of player that tries to do as much as he can by himself, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing, but in this game it was definitely a bad thing in a couple of situations. Like I said, with the example lost with Bruno Fernandes and Benjamin Šeško, could have done a bit better there. There's a bright spark though. Diogo Dalot's long throws have greatly improved, but they're more or less the only thing that's improved about him. He still can't cross. He still can't time his overlapping runs. He still can't hit a ball first time. He always has to take a shot and let the opponents get into position. It's very sad. Brian Mbeumo didn't have a good game either. His delivery was awful, just not at his best. And then we have Bruno Fernandes, a second penalty miss of the season. And I don't know what it is, but I just did not have any faith in him slotting this ball away. Maybe it was all the time that had elapsed between the foul being called and Fernandes actually taking the kick, but I did not think he was going to score, and unfortunately, that prediction was correct when he missed. But I can't really go too hard on Bruno Fernandes when it comes to the criticism in this particular season, because it looks like he's just going to be played out of position for the entire year if Ruben Amorim has his way, and because of that, we can't really accurately grade him on anything, can we?
Of course, he is serviceable playing as a deeper, more central midfielder. He is a risky player by nature, and I believe over the last couple of seasons, when he plays as a 10, he has one of the highest rates of possessions lost because of how risky his gameplay overall is.
These are the things that make him good as a 10 in a more advanced role, and you're putting him deeper in the field. For me, it just seems unfair to criticize him for a lot of reasons. Yes, we can, but you have to understand the context. So let's go back to the penalty just for a second. VAR and the refereeing team were having a strange day. So to my understanding, the big break between the kick being taken and the actual foul being committed was a VAR check for a possible red card. Now, if you're going to take that much time to do that, how are you going to come up with what everyone sees as the wrong decision? A clearly intentional pull, absolutely no attempts to go for the ball whatsoever, denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Yellow card, VAR checked this for 5 minutes and upheld the decision. Make it make sense. That, along with the Cunha foul early on in the game, it grinds my gears a little bit.
So while I was recording this, I saw the Premier League released an explanation for the call, and they say that it was deemed to be a yellow card and not a red because Mbeumo wasn't in control of the ball when he was fouled. Guys, he was being pulled before he got in control of the ball.
But again, I don't want that little, segment of this video, of this rant, to get in the way of what the real problem is, and that's that United just aren't a good team. Even without those two decisions, they would have lost. I mean, they didn't score the penalty in the first place, right? No one in this team knows how to cross, despite the fact that we have one of the tallest and most technically gifted young strikers in world football at the moment. Decision-making in the final third is non-existent. I say this absolutely every week. I feel like a broken record at this point. Dorgu had a decent game in some aspects. He retained the ball quite well at times. He was able to dribble past his man, but after that, he just did not know what to do and nothing came of it. De Ligt had a good game. Fair to him. Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot, I don't really have many positive words. But the thing that shocked me the most, I must say, was that in the last 25 minutes or so of this game, the level of play was just so low. The sloppiness, the first touches were non-existent. United were unable to string anything together, and Brentford, to their credit, were pressing relentlessly throughout the entire 90, and I've praised them so many times in this video. They did well. But these are professional, really high-played footballers by United's system or not. What is going on over here? It makes no sense to me. And this is what most United games divulge into these days towards the end. Chasing a game, hitting and hoping into the box, hoping that something goes through and hits the mark. Nothing ever does. The team that we're playing against just bunkers down and fields off every single opportunity that United have. No balls go through and we're all left disappointed. And I don't really even want to get into this goal. The ball goes right down the middle. And you know what? I'm actually running out of time right now. I need to catch a train right now. So there we have it. A bit more of an unhinged video today, just off the cuff, just talking about this god-awful team. Next video is going to be a long-form video on Manchester United. It's going to be on Sir Alex Ferguson. It'll come out next week, hopefully. Nice 30-minute plus video. You guys will check it out. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.